What if I told you that two global power blocks are vying for supremacy in the financial world? 1. A coalition of the world's most advanced economies. The other, a rising force of emerging markets. Today, we unravel the financial rivalry between BRICS and the G7. Who's leading the charge, and what does it mean for the future of global finance? Let's dive in. In today's video, we're exploring the financial influence and geopolitical influence of BRICS and the G7. This is going to be a thorough examination, so let's get started. The G7 consists of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States, some of the world's most advanced economies. These countries have established themselves as leaders in economic development, technological innovation, and global trade. On the other hand, BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These emerging economies have been growing rapidly and are now significant players on the global stage. Each of these countries brings something unique to the table: China and India with their massive populations and booming tech industries, Russia with its vast natural resources, Brazil with its agricultural prowess, and South Africa with its mining wealth. Now, let's get into the financial power of these groups and how they influence the global economy. First, let's compare the economic size of BRICS and the G7. The G7 countries have some of the highest GDPs in the world. Combined, their GDP accounts for nearly 40% of the world's total economic output. This economic strength translates into significant influence over global financial markets and policies. BRICS countries, while not as wealthy per capita, collectively represent about 25% of global GDP. Their economies are diverse, with China and India being major manufacturing hubs, Russia a key energy supplier, Brazil rich in natural resources, and South Africa an important mining country. This diversity provides BRICS with a unique strength, as they are less dependent on any single sector. Let's break down the GDP figures a bit more. The United States, for example, has a GDP of around $21 trillion, making it the largest economy in the world. China follows with a GDP of approximately $14 trillion. However, when looking at GDP in terms of purchasing power parity, PPP, China actually surpasses the United States. This is significant because PPP adjusts for cost of living and provides a more accurate representation of the economic productivity and standards of living within these countries. India also shows a significant jump in ranking when considering PPP, moving from being the seventh largest economy to the third largest. In terms of growth rates, BRICS countries often outpace G7 countries. For instance, while the G7 economies have seen average annual growth rates of around 2% over the past decade, BRICS countries have experienced growth rates between 4% and 7%, with China and India leading the charge. This rapid growth in BRICS countries is transforming them into key drivers of global economic development, increasing their influence in international markets and financial institutions. The G7 countries are home to some of the world's largest and most influential financial markets. Think Wall Street in New York, the London Stock Exchange, and the Tokyo Stock Exchange. These financial hubs drive global investment and capital flows, and their financial policies often set trends that ripple across the world. The financial systems in G7 countries are highly developed, with sophisticated banking sectors, deep capital markets, and extensive regulatory frameworks. This maturity provides stability and attracts investment from around the globe. BRICS nations, on the other hand, are in the process of developing their financial markets and institutions to reduce reliance on Western-dominated systems. One of the key initiatives in this regard is the New Development Bank, NDB, often referred to as the BRICS Bank. The NDB was established to fund infrastructure and sustainable development projects in BRICS and other emerging economies. The NDB has already approved billions of dollars in loans for various projects, ranging from renewable energy in India to transportation infrastructure in Brazil. This bank represents a significant step towards financial independence for BRICS countries, providing an alternative source of funding that doesn't come with the political strings often attached to Western loans. Another important institution is the Contingent Reserve Arrangement, CRA, which provides a financial safety net for BRICS countries. This mechanism allows member countries to access funds in case of balance of payments crises, offering a buffer against economic shocks. Additionally, there's growing discussion about creating a BRICS digital currency. This could potentially reduce their dependency on the US dollar for international trade and enhance their financial sovereignty. A digital currency could streamline cross-border transactions, reduce transaction costs, and provide greater financial inclusion. China is already a leader in digital currency development with its digital yuan, which is being tested in several cities and is expected to play a significant role in international trade. If BRICS can develop a unified digital currency, it could change the dynamics of global finance. When it comes to global trade, the G7 countries are major exporters and importers, with a strong influence on global trade policies and agreements. They have well-established trade networks and agreements that benefit their economic interests. For example, the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, and the European Union Single Market are critical to their trade strategies. BRICS countries, on the other hand, are increasing their intra-BRICS trade and investment. For example, China and India have extensive trade relations with Brazil and South Africa, importing raw materials and exporting manufactured goods. This intra-BRICS trade is growing steadily, reducing their reliance on traditional Western markets. The Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, spearheaded by China, is a key element in this strategy. The BRI aims to create a modern Silk Road, connecting Asia with Europe and Africa through a network of trade routes, infrastructure projects, and investment partnerships. Since its launch, the BRI has seen over $1 trillion invested in various projects, including ports, railways, highways, and energy pipelines. This massive infrastructure push is expected to boost trade, create jobs, and stimulate economic growth across participating countries. In addition to physical infrastructure, digital infrastructure is also a significant focus. China's Digital Silk Road Initiative aims to enhance internet connectivity and digital trade across BRI countries, further integrating them into the global economy. This strategy not only expands China's influence but also provides BRICS countries with better access to global markets. Increased trade and investment flows among BRICS countries help them diversify their economic partnerships and reduce their vulnerability to economic pressures from Western nations. The influence of these groups in global financial governance is significant. The G7 countries have historically dominated institutions like the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank. These institutions play key roles in setting global financial regulations and standards, and the G7's dominance has often meant that their economic philosophies and policies shape global finance. For instance, the IMF and World Bank often impose economic conditions on their loans, which align with the Washington Consensus, policies promoting free market capitalism, fiscal austerity, and deregulation. While these policies can lead to economic stability, they have also been criticized for exacerbating inequality and limiting the policy space for recipient countries. BRICS countries have been advocating for reforms in these institutions to reflect the growing importance of emerging economies. They argue that the current structure is outdated and does not adequately represent the interests of developing nations.